So the title of the talk that I'm going to give you is Physical Education for Social Change, and it's actually not just about physical education really. I think it's also about management, about leadership, about learning theory in general. So also for those of you who are not going to become physical educators, I think that there'll be some stuff in there that's gonna be interesting. It's really fundamentally it's gonna be a talk about human beingness, I think. About human nature. Okay, and also I'd like to make you aware that it's theory only, and theory is not the truth, of course. The truth is what we experience every day, but I think theory can really help to get it can support our work, and it can support our practice, it can support our life, and only if it does that, then theory is useful, I think. So theory that doesn't really help our practice, that doesn't help our life, is not very useful. So just be aware it's theory, it's not the real thing. And I'd like to start with a little exercise that maybe some of you already have done in the group out in the valley, but that doesn't matter. So you just do it again, then it sinks in a bit deeper. So it can only be good. And so I'd like to ask you about the challenges of our time. What do you think are the issues or challenges of our time?
Pollution.
Perfect.
War.
Society.
Society?
Social problems.
Social problem? Maybe a bit more specific?
Like
Poverty.
War, poverty.
War. Overpopulation.
Too much money.
Global warming. I have one which is actually regarded by many scientists as actually a bigger issue than global warming. It's just not as popular, but it's biodiversity loss. Okay, so that's great. Now, if you can see a connection between one issue and the other, then please tell me. You can also say what that connection might be.
War and terrorism.
Connections.
Okay. What else?
Overpopulation and global warming. Poverty and the gap between poor and rich.
Poverty. Yeah.
Pollution and overpopulation.
Economic crisis.
And war.
And war.
Terrorism.
Yeah, I think that's
The gap.
at least the economy and war are pretty tightly linked, and economic crisis as well. If you think of oil, for example, it's a pretty rare thing we are having at the moment, and we're about at the half of the oil reserves, and possibly some of the wars we've seen in the past years, or some of the, I think at the moment there are 54 wars going on Earth as we speak. Some of them might have to do with natural resources, so to fuel our economy. Yeah. So what starts to emerge here is that you see that none of these issues stands alone. They're all related in some way, and if we would really put our minds to it, we could make a lot more links than we've made now. So all of these issues are interconnected. They're not problems that stand for themselves. And this activity, or this exercise, really illustrates what ecology is. So ecology is the study of relationships. In this case, it's mainly human ecology. It looks at the connections. And I think in our time, in science, for example, in technology, probably even in education and in physical education even, there's a really big shift towards nowadays looking at the connections between things. In the past, scientists looked more and more into the detail and really tried to understand, for example, the atom and go more and more into it. And that really brought out great discoveries for humankind in agriculture, in medicine. And now we've penetrated the issues so deeply that and still we have a lot of these problems, and so now people, really some of the cleverest people in the world, some of the greatest minds, go and start to look at the relationships, at the hidden connections that are actually often not that easy to see, in order to come up with new inventions or new solutions or new technologies. Another thing that I think is really interesting here from this picture, that we can see everything is connected. It also means that we as a human being, we don't have to try to solve all of the problems as an individual or with our whatever company, enterprise, school. We can just work on one little thing, and even if that's just ourselves, and still we can see if we work on one thing, for example on education, it will be connected in one way or another with everything else, and it will have some effect on the whole. Now, I think that effect isn't often easily visible, and sometimes it's not visible at all, the effect that we have. And I remember when I started, just maybe 2 years after I started Easy Day, I had a bit of a crisis, and I said to my mother, what I'm doing is actually not solving any problem. It's not going to have any effect at all. And she said, well, you never know what effect your work has. And she gave me an example that I thought fitted quite well. And so it stuck with me. And she said, imagine you would have lived 100 years ago and you would have met Adolf Hitler as a little boy or as a youth, as a youngster, and would have had the chance to spend a week or 2 weeks with him outdoors, outside, and done some work with him, showed him some stuff, opened his eyes to some of these things that we are also exploring this week. And she said maybe that would have changed him as a person, maybe it would have created some different understanding, and maybe it would have saved millions of lives or a lot of suffering, and you would have never known. So we can never know what effect our work has, or the kindness has we bring into this world, or the good intentions have we bring into this world. I think we mustn't feel overwhelmed by not seeing the result. Okay, so that's that.